Hey, we are back with another FortiSOAR scenario video. We hope you enjoyed the last one like we did creating it. In this video, the focus will be on securing endpoints. In the diagram shown here, you can see a realistic scenario of a user, Bob, executing malware from his computer. We will manually execute this malware, but of course, it can be activated automatically through some sort of delivery and trigger. This delivery could be through email or web drive-bys. Fortunately, Bob is protected with Fortinet's endpoint security, FortiEDR and FortiClient. Using FortiClient, Bob can quickly access internal resources located either on-prem or in the cloud, while FortiEDR can provide him real-time automated endpoint protection and incident response. By having FortiEDR on his machine, he protected himself from perhaps ransomware attacks like Polyfinal, CryptoLocker, or Petya, as well as spreading any malicious attacks to Alice, his coworker. Once these attacks are detected and blocked using FortiEDR, Bob can automatically send these information to FortiSOAR. FortiSOAR will then activate a playbook, in this case triggered manually, but an automated version can also be done, where it will fetch and parse Bob's endpoint information, as well as all events, including attacks on Bob's computer, and create records within FortiSOAR. Threat hunters can then use these information to correlate with additional information to look for attack patterns within their environment. In this playbook, FortiSOAR will not only pull information from FortiEDR, but also use information parsed from it, in this case an IP address, and block those IP addresses from communicating at the network level on FortiGate. FortiGate will then log the malicious communication and send it to FortiAnalyzer for logs and analytics. If Bob was on a VDI environment, security administrators can use FortiSOAR to take a snapshot of the VM from vSphere. Optionally, he can remove Bob's computer from Active Directory and isolate it into a group with FortiGate blocking access to that group. Let's now see in action. Logging into FortiSOAR, we can see a playbook has already been created. Walking through the process, we can see that this playbook will fetch endpoints information from FortiEDR and create records for each endpoint. This playbook will then find malicious endpoints that has already been detected in FortiEDR and grab events from FortiEDR and create event records in FortiSOAR. In parallel, the playbook will send a list of IP addresses to FortiGate to block. The playbook will also send a request to vSphere to take a snapshot to help with the investigation. A manual approval step has been included so that a manual approval is required in order to unblock the IP addresses. Once that step is approved, the playbook will then update the records and unblock the IP addresses. Let's now see it in action. Logging into Bob's computer, if we try to ping google.com, you can see that there is still internet access. Logging into FortiEDR console, you can see the IP address 192.168.1.4, which is Bob's computer, is located in the default collector group. Now let's go ahead and execute some malware. After a while, if we go back to FortiEDR console, we can see that the malware was blocked and events have been generated in the management console. Additionally, we can also see that the endpoint has automatically been moved into a high security group and isolated. Moving back to FortiSOAR, we will now execute this playbook manually to fetch the information from FortiEDR and activate our security process. Note again that while we are activating this playbook manually to show the process, security analysts can automate this step. After activating the playbook, you can see that the playbook goes through a series of steps, similar to how a security analyst might walk through these steps manually. By automating the first pass through the steps, we can ensure that security analysts focus their time on more prioritized tasks. You can see that the playbook fetches the events from FortiEDR and create records from it, as well as block suspected IP addresses. The playbook will then go into vSphere and take a snapshot with memory dumps of Bob's machine. A manual approval step has been included to simulate how a security administrator could be involved in the approval lifecycle in unblocking the IP address. If we now go into Bob's machine, you can see that we are no longer able to ping google.com. That is because Bob's machine has now been blocked on FortiGate. Going into our vSphere environment, you can see a snapshot has been taken of Bob's machine. Threat hunters can use these snapshots with memory dumps included to do further threat investigation. After the machine has been remediated, we can go back into FortiSOAR and do a manual approval to continue the process. The playbook will then continue, and after it finishes, records will be updated as well as correlated, and Bob's machine will now be unblocked. Going into the affected endpoint under the asset module, you can see that a record has already been created and correlated with other records we created in the playbook. If we go inside Bob's machine, we can confirm that the endpoint can again access the internet. Hopefully, this was an informative video, and we look forward to seeing you again next time.